This is a tutorial for the Chapter 7 alternate grader that we conducted in class. This will be broken up into 3 parts, 1 part for each data sheet. And the first data sheet we'll be working on is the the sales data by agent worksheet. So we're going to be completing steps 2 through 6 on this. And the first step, we want to enter a nested function in cell H9, the bonus column, for employees that are international and sold over 200,000, they will receive a 5% bonus. All other employees will receive a 3% bonus. So the key things to focus on here is, if we just read this out, is that if the employee is international and sold over 200,000. So to do that, what we're going to do is an if function. So we'll go into our formulas, insert a function, and we'll type in if. And we'll find that, and then the logical test we said is going to be an AND. So we're going to type AND, and the way this works is you'll type the AND for the function, and then you're going to type in the conditions. So for this case, we said if they're international, so that's going to be cell G9 is international, and since this is a string, we're going to put the double quotes in, international. And then we're going to do a comma to separate the other case, and that's going to be if the salary, F9, is greater than $200,000. So in this case, we would expect this to be true, and it does show up as true as a self-check. So if this is true, they're going to receive a 5% bonus based on their pay, so it'll be F9 times 0.05. If it's false, we said they're going to be receiving a 3% bonus. So we're going to do that times 0.03. Now the other way you can do this, and probably a better way to do this, is we can use the bonus structure up here. So we could do A4, and we'd have to make sure we lock this down with absolute reference, and we could do the same thing for the domestic here. We're going to type A3 here. So we'll click on this, and then we'll see that this is in a percent format. So if we go into home and click the accounting format, that'll give us a number we see as far as currency, and you can either drag this fill handle down, or you can just double click this and Excel will automatically put things in there for you. So that covers steps 2 and 3. And on the next piece, what we want to do is we want to create the ability to look up a sales rep's name, and we're going to type Ron here. And then we want to look up a quarter, and where this intersects, we want to pull from this array the amount sold. So in this case, we can use an index function to do this. So if we go into formula, and we're going to type index, we'll click go, we'll click OK, and then for this class in particular, we're typically always going to use the array, row number, and column number. And what this means is we're going to look at an array, and at the intersection of a row number and a column number, we're going to take that value and then put it into cell B26 for this particular case. So we'll click on OK, and again, our array is going to be all the possible values we can pull from. So that's going to be A9 down to E21. And then our row number, for this one, we want to use a match function. What the match function will do is it will allow us to look at the cells A9 through A21 and then pick out a unique one, and then it'll return that row to us, and then we'll do the same thing for column number, and by doing that we'll have a row coordinate and then we'll have a column coordinate, and then we will be able to pull up that cell here. So row number will do match, and then the value, the first argument in match is going to be the lookup value for the rows. So we want to look up this cell, and that's going to be B24, And then the possible names we're going to look at is A9 through A21. So that second argument is going to be look at these cells to determine which cell the lookup value is. So in this case, it would say, go find Ron out of A9 through A21. So you're probably thinking this is a bit unrealistic because what happens if they have 2 Rons or 2 Nicks or 3 Sallys? So typically this would be on something that is unique, either an email address or more likely it would be an employee number. So getting back to match here then, we have our value B24. We have A9 through A21 that it's going to look at. And in this case, we want an exact match. Therefore, we're going to put comma 0 here. And if we look, we're going to see to the right this 1. What that 1 represents is if you look at all these different names, we're going to see A9 through A21, Ron happens to be the first row based on this A9 through A21 array. Watch what happens. Well, actually, let's put the column number in first, and we'll go kind of do some what-if analysis here. So we'll do the same thing with column number, where we're going to put match. This time we're going to match based on cell B25. For this array, we want to look at the possible values of A8 through E8. And just like on row, we want an exact match, so we're going to put 0. So in this particular case, you'll see the number 2, and that's because Q1 is not in column 1 here. Oh, I just killed that. Let me go back and correct this. It's actually going to be in column 2. That's where Q1's at. So in this particular case, we're doing row 1, which is Ron, column 2, and we should see 29911 in our amount sold value here, and we could see that's exactly what's going to happen looking at this value here. It basically lets you preview and look at things before you click OK. So we want to make this also an accounting format as well. So for example, what would happen if we put Sally Q3 in here? So if we put Sally Q3, we'd expect this to be row number 3, and then it's going to be column 1, 2, 3, 4 here for Q3. So if we do Sally, and then and actually you could just use these pull-down handles right here, Q3, and then if we look at that, we see 63914, and does that make sense? Well, we look at Sally here, and we go to Q3, and look at that, 63914. So that is how we do these lookup tables in a nested function. So that completes steps 2 through 6. So we'll end here and then pick back up in part 2.